The value is in the agent. If you can value stack yourself up where Zillow can't because it's a machine, then you have nothing to worry about.
Hello and welcome to episode 9 of the Smart Agents Podcast. My name is Michael Walter and I'll be your host. Each episode we bring you interviews with real estate insiders from all across the country and from all levels of experience. Today's episode features a wide-ranging conversation with Florida-based Chris Cusimano. We talk about everything from how he used the downtime at the start of the pandemic to work on projects that he had been putting off, to leveraging technology to increase his efficiency. Now, before we get into today's interview, make sure you follow and subscribe to the show on whatever platforms you listen to podcasts. You can find it on everything from Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, you name it, we are there. Also, as you can see if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the Smart Agents YouTube channel. Click the bell to get notifications when each episode is uploaded. Now on to the featured conversation. Chris was a fantastic interview, and I'm sure you're going to take away a lot of great information. Just kind of starting out a little bit, can you tell me a little bit about yourself, kind of where you're at and how long you've been in real estate?
Sure. So I've been in real estate since 2001. I didn't really start figuring out until about a decade later, 2011. So I graduated high school. I tried the college thing. It wasn't for me. Didn't like the boss thing. School thing wasn't for me. I was never expecting to be a realtor. What happened, this was the Carlton Sheets days when you have all those we buy houses, cash signs, whatever. So I called all of them I could just to kind of see what this was all about. A guy took me under his wing. We started flipping homes. I was his apprentice, essentially working for free. Then eventually his wife would list the properties and I was her transaction broker, and eventually got my license. Market crashed and I still had my license and just continued on from that point on.
So you've been in the business for quite a while to where you've seen the ups and downs, and obviously COVID hit. What was that, I guess, what was it, March 13th?
It was weird. It was kind of a sigh of I guess a lot of real estate agents, successful ones are like this, or business people. We feel guilty when we're not productive, we're not doing something. So when it hit, a couple things happened. First, my son was born in March, and it was a combination of, okay, my son is born, and now I have the opportunity to take a sigh and not feel guilty. I'm not competing with anyone. No one's going to shame me for not going to work. No one's going to shame me for if we go into debt. I can just go, And the ironic thing of it all, it gave me more time to use that time to study and research and grow the business. And it's probably been my best year yet. And I think that's a direct correlation to taking that breather.
Yeah, I think that it's been so interesting talking to people, because that same kind of a reset, I feel like, has happened with so many people that I've talked to, and it's been so good for them.
Yeah.
Obviously the COVID, what's going on with that is awful, but on a personal level, what it's been able to do for some people has been awesome.
Well, I think that's everything in life. And everything in life, people have two ways of looking at the situation that they're handed to. And I don't know if this is unfortunate or fortunate. A small percentage of people look at things as, how can I twist this into a positive? Well, a lot don't. And if you're aware of that, if you're cognizant of that, and you put yourself in the positive mindset, you can get yourself ahead, because while everyone else has their head in the sand, you're pulling yourself up and you're, okay, let's figure something out and utilize this opportunity to our advantage.
Right. And I think that goes back to the whole positive or proactive versus reactive. And you're taking a very proactive approach to things, and it gets you out on the other side of things so much faster.
It does. This is where it's going to get weird. I have a coaching program that I wasn't on here to push, but what it did during that 2 weeks, I could really focus on the content for that. And we revamped everything and relaunched it to be greater and better than ever it was. And again, I stopped myself because I didn't want to come up here as a plug in that. No. And then I'm like, well, that's really what I focused my time on. And ironically, the relationships I made with other agents along that way has helped grow my business even more.
Yeah. So if you don't mind me, tell me a little bit about this coaching program.
Okay. Basically, I'll give you a Cliff Note version of the history. I told you I started in 2001, and then in 2011, I didn't figure it out. But during that 10-year gap, I was struggling, trying to, the cold call on the door, knocking the same stuff. And I'm too scared to pick up the phone. So I would ask all these top producing real estate agents, hey, what do you do? What's your thing? And they would give you the cold shoulder more times than not. And I always said, if I ever became a top producer, if I ever figured it out, I'm going to find a way to make this get this in front of help as many people as I can for as little money as possible. Mm-hmm. So what happened about a year and a half ago, I started putting something together. I didn't really like the way it turned out. This gave me the opportunity to redo it. And it's a bunch of different segments on how exactly I do my business. And in each segment, there's anywhere from 5 to 15 videos, anywhere from 2 minutes to 20 minutes, showing step by step by step. And I try to make it as cheap as I possibly could and without going broke. And anyway, so this wasn't a plug for this, so I apologize, but it came up. But basically, that reset, there was a couple of weeks where sales weren't happening and I was taking a breather. I just can't sit on the couch. So I'm like, let's revamp this and make it better. And that's what I did. And,
No, that's awesome. Congratulations on getting that, taking that dream that you had and say, I want to do this. I want to be able to do this, and then to do it. I think a lot of people don't do it, Yeah.
Well, that's human nature. Sure.
You were telling me about how you were afraid to make the cold calls, and what kind of got you over that hump to becoming a top producer?
I never got over making cold calls. I won't do it. No, I spent the time with we were going to talk about technology, and ironically, being the fear of the phone and the fear of door knocking made me find every other possible, just study. How do I make my phone ring? Right. And technology is a huge leverage for that. It's the thing with technology is cool. There's two ways I look at it. One is the path of least resistance for the consumer. So if you're going shopping or if you're using some kind of service and there's barriers in the way to give someone money, you usually go another path. And I realized a lot of realtors did that. But with technology, anywhere from them getting to know you, anyone finding out who you are, getting to know you, the listing presentation, for them to hire you, for you to do the marketing, all the way through the closing process is all behind. If you use the right tech, you can leverage so much time to make it easy for them and excited to use you. And then also it's the idea of progress too. So progress isn't going to stop, and technology is a part of progress. So I remember the first class I taught about technology in my office, and there was a good amount of agents in there that they were like, nope, not doing that. It's the same people that were like, no to cars, the horse and buggy is just fine. It's that same mentality. And I said something that I was kind of arrogant when I said it, but it still makes sense. And I don't want to come off arrogant when I say this, but I told them, guess what? The world doesn't care if you want to do it. They don't care. You're either going to not do it, which sounds like you're not, and stay where you are, or you're going to utilize technology because Joe, is not going to stop the evolution of progress of humanity. And that includes technology. So you can either embrace it, utilize it, and be savvy and utilize it to build your business, or you can put your heels in the sand, fight it, and see your business dwindle. And I remember saying that I feel like kind of like a prick, but it's true,
No, absolutely. I mean, nobody's ever figured out how to make the world stop turning.
Yeah.
So you're not going to make this technology, and somebody's going to come behind you and figure out how to use it and use it to their advantage very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just to add on a little bit, then the good point about this was in my part of my training, I do live trainings every Tuesday night, except the last Tuesday of the month, which is today, ironically. Anyway, so in the last one of my students, I hate saying students, one of the members of my group, I hate the inferior, it's whatever. He goes, I always wondered how we did so much business for so many kids and got so much done. And what I was training them in that class is how I do all my listing presentations in video. I don't go there. And I've been doing this before COVID. So I would record on Camtasia exactly my listing presentation specific to the house, just like I was sitting there. And then I'll send them a Google Drive link. And I'm like, if you like what you see, call me back. Yeah. And it saves so much time. And I can bang out 4 or 5 or 6 of those like nothing, instead of driving there, hoping they show up. If they don't like me, worrying about them kicking me out. And so the technology's there. The tools are there. And if you leverage it, I'm going to close 66 deals this year, make a good amount, about $500,000. And you can't do that as if you're not taking advantage of technology and the tools that are presented to you.
Well, and just thinking about just the time that you save in just the driving to a place. And then also Inevitably you're in that listing presentation. There's going to be some side conversation that sucks up some of your time, or, so just being able to focus, get it done, and send that to them and keep everybody focused, I think is
Well, it
really
goes back
smart.
to the path of least resistance too. So when you go there, they don't want you there. They don't want some strange realtor there. They feel like that's just part of the process. And the anxiety that they're building, especially where people build, I got to have the house clean. I got to have this. I got to have that. All the anxiety is gone.
Yeah.
And they can watch it on the toilet. They can watch it at the gym. They can watch it. And if they don't like you, they'll stop. And if they like you, they'll continue on.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's great. So you do the Camtasia to do your listing presentations. What are some of the other things that you've really kind of keyed in on that help you out and save a lot of your time?
Oh God, how much time do we have, Mike?
I got all afternoon.
Well, like I say, from the very beginning of them getting to know you and all the way through the process, there are tech tools that you can really leverage to save you time and money.
Mm-hmm.
One of the tools that 40% of sellers say that they want to see a real estate agent do is market a property. And we have the power of video and retargeting tools with Facebook, Instagram, and Google. So anyways, what I realized about 2 years ago is that looking at the numbers, every seller wants a video. Well, most sellers want a video of their home, and there's 9% of listings that have video. And those 9%, they all were the same thing. They were the stagnant photos moving together. The music is boring. Why don't you just click through the video photos as you please? What people wanted to see, and I realized this from watching HGTV, I'm like, why don't I just do home tours? And in order to keep engagement going, I'll have a blooper reel at the back, right? So it always gets someone to watch something at the end. And that blooper reel makes you relatable. So I started doing that. Holy cow, man. So I'll put it out there, and then I'll create an audience. And Facebook made audiences harder now. But anyways, you'll create an audience, and then I'll retarget them based on how much. So the same people are seeing my videos over and over and over and over and over and over again. So what happens now is that you're doing something that every seller wants that no other realtor is doing. You become relatable with your blooper reel and just being a real person, right? Mm-hmm. And I see people trying to emulate it now, and good for them. But I see people doing weird things like pop your collar and they weird like no one likes that. So anyways, so that's so for them to get to know you digitally. Now you have a whole catalog on your Facebook page or YouTube page. They can go through it, and if they don't like you, they're not hiring. So if your phone rings, you're already hired. The only way you mess that up is if you mess it up, right? So that's huge leverage. Getting people hire who they know, like, and trust. Mm-hmm. And utilizing the cheap power of Facebook ads and Instagram ads with video content is a no-brainer, and no one does it. Yeah. So that's one. I don't know. I told you I got a ton.
Yeah. So let me. Earlier you said you have you mentioned a videographer. So you guys have your own in-house videographer. That's awesome. When did you decide to start? That going in that direction to have your own.
Well, the power of video is so great. Mm-hmm. And as a real estate agent, you can get your real estate license over Thanksgiving break, right? Mm-hmm. So there's so many of us. So how do you separate yourself from the pack? You do things that buyers and sellers want to see, but your colleagues aren't willing to do. And that's video content. Yeah. So utilize that. So I'm like, this is here. We got to have a guy who's just that's what he does. Yeah. Right. And truthfully, since COVID, it's just been listing videos. Before we're doing a bunch of other stuff, and we should get back to it. But since COVID, we kind of we'll get back into that after it's all over. But anyways, that's that.
Yeah, no, I really like the idea of the home tour. So I do have to ask you, for a guy that didn't like cold calling, how did you get in front of a camera and start doing that?
I still hate myself in front of the camera. I don't like the highness of my voice. I feel like I'm still in middle school. But it didn't matter, man. I'll look at myself like, oh my God, you're not aging well. But no one cares. And what I realize is the less perfect you are, the more relatable you are. As long as you don't come off as, I don't know, douchey, I guess the word is, right? Yeah. Just come out and just be you, be real. And that's another point, so when you're selling the same product as everyone else, you are the one thing that people can't rip off is your authenticity, you as a person. And that's who people are hiring. Wouldn't you want to, and this was the mindset, wouldn't you want as many people to see who you are as possible, real you? Because that's what they're really hiring. They can hire this realtor, this realtor, this realtor. Why are they going to hire this realtor? It's because you're your brand, and no one can rip that off. So utilize that. And the best way I figured out was video. So that's kind of just got to do it.
No, that's awesome. You know, I can't remember who it was I was talking to a long time ago. And they said, you know, people see your face every day, whether it's on video or what, like it doesn't matter. Like just totally forget about it and do your thing. You know, there's millions and millions of people on television all the time and nothing, it's all good. You know,
it's all good. And when I see people, one thing is I see people not copy. Well, I guess copying is the right word in my area now, and they're just overdoing it. They're coming off arrogant, and I want to shake them because I'm friends with them. Like, no, you don't get it. People don't want you going peace and all that. People don't want that, and that's what one of the guys does. He goes peace out. I'm like, who would hire you?
Right.
You know, just be real. Just like, hey, this is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It's perfectly split. Blah blah blah. You're gonna have bloopers, but your bloopers at the end, people relate. And if I could convey anything to anyone who's watching this, authenticity, you is so powerful because people will hire who they know, like, and trust and relate to. They can't relate to arrogance.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and then also, if you're branding yourself as the real you don't have to keep up some charade when you do get hired. And you know what I mean? Like, it's so much easier to be yourself.
Well, yeah, I teach this a lot. Again, I can talk about this stuff all day. So you just cut me off. I won't take it personal, but I look at sales. I turn the concept of sales on its head. And I don't look at it as sales anymore. I look at it as you're giving people invitations to hire you. It's like, here's my invitation of what I do and what I provide. This is me. And if they turn down your invitation, so what? Who cares? It wasn't meant for you. So when you're putting up this charade and acting in a way that you're not, the invitation you're putting out, it's kind of like your Match.com photo. It's not really you, you know. Put out who you are. And if that's your invitation to the world, and they will hire you if they like you. If they don't, great. Then you don't have to deal with that headache.
Right.
You know?
Right. I think that's such an important thing for people to understand, is that you don't have to win all of them. Like, it's cool. There's too many. You can't handle it. Like, you got to know. First of all, people need to kind of know what their level that they want to be at is, and then kind of work within that, and be cool with missing some.
Well, you better be cool missing some, or you're not going to last long.
Yeah.
Not everyone's going to like you.
Right. Yeah. And you got to be cool with that. It's whatever. It's fine.
It's whatever. Good. I didn't want you to hire me anyways if you didn't like me.
Right.
You know? It would have sucked.
Yeah. So when it comes to like the Instagram and how do you obviously you're doing the listing videos and stuff, but with Instagram and Facebook, obviously totally different audiences on them. So how do you differentiate what you're doing on each one?
I haven't perfected Instagram. Actually, I have paid for several trainings, 3 as a matter of fact, that I'm going to go through. And I'm going to master that. Basically, all I've been doing is the Facebook ad integration and just adding. I don't know if you probably do Facebook ads, and then you just hit that down arrow to add to your Instagram, and it just goes out there. Or that's with paid ads, or just doing IGTV for posts.
Yeah.
But I'm learning a lot with Instagram, and I realize that's probably not the best way to go. But for to answer your question with Facebook, it's people don't want to be alien. You're going to alienate people if all you do is blast them with real estate stuff. They don't care, right? That's another reason why the blooper reels in the back to keep people watching. But so I don't put too much of that on my personal. A lot of that's business with targeted ads, and I will target my database with custom audiences and then retarget only if they watch a certain percentage, because I don't want to blast my people.
Yeah, no, I think that's really smart. And I was talking with somebody earlier, I guess yesterday, and she's a young and newer agent, and she's really trying to grow her brand. And one of the things she's doing is she sends out a weekly email, but it's very community based. So it's, highlighting a different restaurant or something like that in town. And then at the bottom, she has her stuff about the market and the listings and stuff like that, so that she's not blasting her database with, here's my new, listing for sale, or, she's giving them something to where she's not getting unsubscribes and all this other stuff. You're going to force people away with you. I also teach that too, is hook story offer emails all day long, and your hook and your story has nothing to do with real estate, and your offer is at the very bottom. That email. There's people who do those emails and are like, I don't know, Debbie did it again, and like another listing, a 4-2 open. No one cares. Right.
if your listing is like, this is the ugliest house I've ever seen, they might click on that.
Right.
You know? So anyway, that's another side.
I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. I mean, I definitely feel like this is I definitely want to have a lot more conversations with you, if that makes sense. I want to keep up this, and, you know, be able to create a whole bunch of stuff with you. And, I think what you're doing, you know, having like the mindset and the training and all that kind of stuff that you're doing is really cool. And,
yeah, and I'll end it because I can feel that we're running out of time. The things with the Zillows and the tech companies of the world, they're making significant dents, but the thing they can't replace is the authenticity. I can't even say that right now, but I said it too many times today, of the realness of you and the realness of being a person. So I really want, the way I do business is all about relationships and connecting and giving your invitation. So if more real estate agents embrace business this way, one, to be a lot less anxiety out there. Two, people look at it as a lot better. And three, the Zillows up there will eventually go away, because if the value is in the agent, if you can value stack yourself up where Zillow can't because it's a machine, then you have nothing to worry about. So if the more people take this and actually do what I tell them, and for like pennies, like less than lunch, you know, if they actually do it, we could essentially change the perception of the way people look at realtors. So anyways, that's me on my soapbox out.
No, I think, that concept of the, you know, agents have got to understand that it's not just about the transaction. It's the relationship that you form. It's the, you know, because real estate is such a long game also, where each one of those, you know, every person that you are dealing with, you need to treat it as, I can get another deal or another 3, another 5 from their from their relationships. And if you work on building that relationship with those people, then your business, after a couple of years, I mean, you're going to see that massive spike, you know, when all that starts to come to fruition.
Yeah, I've been doing great. I don't ever pick up my phone nonstop. At least 3, and this is a conservative. At least 3 people a day ask me something real estate related, whether they want to buy, sell, rent, or pick my brain for something in the future. And you can get there if you just build the foundation eventually. And that foundation has to be out of compassion and love and care for your people. So after they close, I forgot the statistic, but it was something insane. It was like something in the 80s where they never heard from the realtor again after they closed. I'm like, what? Yeah, you don't have to call them for more business. But I set up a gift plan over the next year. They get 6 or 7 gifts automatically, like a candle, a doormat, whatever. And then, and then after that, they're always on some kind of giving program. They get birthday present technology. Automatically, my tool will send them a $30 birthday present. Usually it's a candle, a bag of nuts, or a coffee. Mm-hmm. So if you go at business looking at nurturing this person to send you out to everyone here, and it's more fun than the turn and burns. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's more fun. And you're famous. You're freaking famous. Everyone talks about you because you're constantly sending them presents, you know? Yeah. So anyways,
well,
I got a ton of stuff out there.
Well, tell me about this gift program. Tell me a little bit about that. Cause I've seen there's a bunch of different things out there that you can do, but I like this idea of this whole, campaign, I don't want to call it like a drip campaign, but it's almost kind of like that when it comes to
it. Started off with birthdays. So I have this program. Can I share with people?
Yeah.
It's eva.bot. You might have heard of it. But I initially started doing that for closing gifts. So they'll send them a closing gift, and then it'll automatically ask for for their new address, their birthday, and then a Google review. And they have to do all those things before they get their gift, right? Mm-hmm. So of course they're going to say something nice, and that's a good way to get Google reviews. But then I noticed that they had a birthday option, and people who put the birthday, and one person's birthday came up, and they send me an alert. Do you want to send a birthday gift to so and so? And I ironically just closed her house and made like $18,000, and I'm like, I can send her a $30 gift. I can do that. So it started that, and then her mind was blown. She called me right away. So, oh my God, my dad's looking for a condo. This is so cool. Thank you so much for your gift, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, holy cow, just for sending her a $30 gift. She just gave me like $18,000 in commission. Right? Yeah. So it started going from there. So there are cool programs out there that you can do with automated gifted, but I reached out to this company. Again, I had to make no money off them. I'm just putting it. Mm-hmm. There's this marketing company out of California. They're not in Florida, or they just got into Florida. They're called Fusion, Fusion, Fuison. Mm-hmm. And they'll do that stuff for you. So they have a platform. You have your closing date, and they'll send you an email. Do you want to start your gift campaign for $200 and something bucks? Like, yeah. So they send them like a doormat, a candle, this, that, and the other throughout the year. It's custom. So if their name is Johnson, there'll be a J on their mat. You know what I mean? Yeah. Really cool stuff. But honestly, most real estate agents, unfortunately, they don't look at this as a business. They just want their check and don't realize they need to put 30% of their money back in to get more out of it. They just get their check and just hope that the next deal falls on their head. And I preach this in my class. Your job is to get 500 people. 500 dream people that you want to spoil all the time with stuff. And those 500 people you're going to make a lot of money off those 500 people, And so go out there and I teach them how to do it. Get your 500. And this is how you spoil them throughout the year with a bunch of different avenues.
So I really want to thank Chris for taking the time to join me and sharing his tips for success. You can definitely tell that he loves the industry and the work he does. I definitely recommend checking out his YouTube page to see exactly what he's doing. And you can actually find links to that page in both the description of the podcast episode and below the video if you're watching it on YouTube. If you think you or someone on your team has an awesome story to share with our community, send us a message at feedback@smartagents.com. Well, that wraps things up for this episode. But remember, follow the show wherever you listen to podcasts and make sure you subscribe to the Smart Agents YouTube channel. Again, I'm Michael Walter, and we'll see you on the next episode.